right, good evening, everyone. It is 6 p.m. and we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. First thing I'd like to do is go ahead and see if we got quorum today. If you could state that you're here, starting from my right.
Jessica Ochoa, present.
Carlos Margo, present.
Anita Chavez, present.
Alisa Peña, present.
Rosalba Hernandez, present.
Celso Gomez Jr., present.
Good, we have everyone here and we do have quorum. Next item on the agenda, ladies and gentlemen, if you're able to do so, please stand and face the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, next item on the agenda will be public comment. Madam Secretary, do we have anybody signed up for public comment tonight?
We do.
Okay, just a friendly reminder, if you have signed up for public comment, we ask that you state your name. We do have 3 minutes. After 3 minutes, our Vice President will indicate that your time is up. So if we may call up our speaker.
If we can have Ms. Brenda Lee Salinas make your way to the podium, please.
Good evening. Brenda Lee Salinas, the proud president of LJISD. Mr. President, Dr. Sorensen, Board of Trustees, Cabinet team, administrators, guests, and those joining us from home. As we begin the new school year, I want to warmly welcome back our La Jolla AFT members, staff, and students. We look forward to a year full of growth, success, and exciting opportunities. Now, La Jolla AFT remains committed to working with district leaders to ensure our members' voices help shape a strong foundation for student success and staff well-being. We know that together we can continue to strengthen our schools and community. And to our members, your union stands with you through every challenge. And we are all in for public schools and public education. Dr. Sorensen and your cabinet team, I want to personally thank you for the time, engagement, and the responsiveness to our members. Thank you. We look forward for our monthly meetings and continued collaboration. I know that next week on August the 19th, we're going to be meeting, and we encourage all our members to join us. And to the Board of Trustees, thank you for your leadership and commitment to our amazing district. You're truly valued. Thank you. And on behalf of the La Jolla AFT family, we want to wish everyone a successful 25-26 school year. May God bless our students, our members, the La Jolla AFT family, all our public schools throughout the state of Texas and our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Do we have anyone else that signed up for public comment, Madam Secretary?
We do not. That's it.
Great. All right, we may move on. Again, thank you very much. And for all those that are joining us, not only here, but also watching us telecast, we welcome you to tonight's meeting. Next item on the agenda is staff recognition. If I could have Dr. Carlos Margo and Ms. Jessica Ochoa, if you could go ahead and go to the front and partake in today's pictures. So this agenda item is in recognition of the Palmview High School baseball coach, Manuel Ricky Garcia. I'm going to ask our executive director, our new athletic director, if he may do the presentation and the honors. It's all yours, sir.
Good evening. School board members, Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Sorensen, and La Jolla ISD community. My name is Joe Peña, and I'm the proud executive director for this great district. Tonight, we are gathered to celebrate a remarkable achievement, one that not many coaches say they have accomplished in their lifetimes. We are here to honor not only the outstanding 2025 Palmview High School baseball team who reached the state Texas Elite Eight, but also the man who led them there. The head coach at Palmview High School is a proud La Jolla High School graduate, class of 1983. He played his college baseball at St. Edwards while studying law enforcement. He went to serve his beloved country, enlisted in the U.S. Marines for 4 years. Perhaps that explains the intensity he brings to the football team and the baseball team. Though he almost joined the ranks of law enforcement, he chose instead to follow the footsteps of his wife, an educator, and dedicated himself to shaping young lives through teaching and coaching. For 35 years, he has served only La Jolla ISD with passion, dedication, and unwavering commitment for excellence. Impacted hundreds of students and student athletes along the way. It is my honor and privilege to recognize Coach Manuel Garcia Jr., head coach, baseball of Palmview High School, for being named 2024 District 35A Coach of the Year, Area Coach of the Year, and Rio Grande Valley Coach of the Year finalist. Coach Garcia, your career is a testament to our district's motto, educational excellence, the right of every student. On behalf of La Jolla ISD, thank you for your incredible contribution to our district, our students, and our community. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Coach Ricky Garcia Jr.
Hello? Okay. So before we move on, Dr. Sorensen, if you'd like to add anything to the comments that our athletic director made, that'd certainly be appreciated.
I am so grateful to have an incredible coach, an incredible leader, and an incredible man, but more than that, just an incredible human, really leading our young boys to be men. You and I have had conversations where we know that them being student athletes starts with them being great students and great people. And you and the team that you work with have done an outstanding job of leading these young men, not just last year, but generations before, to greatness. And so I thank you for all that you do, not only for the young people that you coach, but for the community as a whole. I am humbled to be on your team. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Well said, Dr. Sorensen. Our next item on the agenda is agenda item number 6. This one I've been watching a lot of on our television station, so thanks, Diana and Blanca, for everything that you guys are doing to put this on. I've been watching all of it, so I know Miss Leo's there, so got to see and of course everyone that's been involved in this. And so next item on the agenda is the La Jolla ISD Centennial Committee for their exceptional Centennial celebration activities. Blanca, it's all yours.
Thank you, Board President. Good evening, everyone. Dr. Sorensen, Superintendent, board members. It is my honor to welcome this special group that has worked all year long to ensure that we celebrate our centennial year. with pride, unity, and memories. So I want to take a moment to recognize and express our deepest appreciation to the committee, whose dedication made our centennial celebrations truly extraordinary. From the Fall Festival and tree lighting to the tree planting, Centennial Symposium, time capsule, decades presentations, which we learned a lot from, and the culminating Carnival of the Century. Their vision, creativity, and tireless efforts brought our community together to celebrate 100 years for La Joya ISD. At this time, I would like to acknowledge each member of this incredible team for their contributions and their commitment and hard work. To begin, Ms. Cristina Perez, teacher and alumni class of 1998. Ms. Angelica Garza, counselor, alumni class of 2008, could not be here with us tonight. Mr. Ivan Silva, teacher, alumni class of 2000, cannot be here with us tonight. Dr. Filomena Leo, former superintendent and community member. Ms. Leonora Garcia, retired teacher and La Joya ISD community member, alumni class of 1983. Mr. Amancio Chapa, community member and alumni class of 1965. Ms. Kayla Cantu, 10th grade student at La Joya High School. Could not be here with us, Ms. Annabelle De Leon, class graduate of Juarez Lincoln High School, class of 2025, and Mr. Noah Garza, class of 2025 graduate from Palmview High School, and of course, our superintendent of schools, Dr. Marcy Sorensen.
Yeah.
I want to thank all of your work, all of the time spent. It was amazing and an honor to work with you. Thank you so much for everything, and we want to celebrate the next 100.
Ms. Leo, thank you for everything you do. Seriously, I love everything you do. Tell your sons I said I love them. Thank you for everything. No, thank you. Thank you. I was wondering what hat you were going to wear today. I was knowing from your hat. I was knowing from your hat. Thank you so much. I love your shirts. Thank you for your I know Ms. Neal was very nice. Thank you. Mr. Chopper, you did great. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Very good presentation.
The chances of me being here in the next 100 probably not very good.
None of us quite here.
Well, I think you will. Well, thank you. Seriously. Marcy, before we move on to the next agenda item, is there anything you'd like to say? I know you were heavily involved with this committee.
I am, again, always so humbled, honored to have learned. One of the roles that I played on the committee was really lead learner. There's so much wisdom and history, knowledge, grace, and leadership on that committee for me to actually just sit and learn from and learn with. None of this would have been possible without our committee's vision and their drive and their passion to make sure that La Joya ISD was recognized and remembered and honored for its 100 years of greatness. And so I just was lucky in many respects to be a part of such a committee that was so focused on making sure that we lifted up our district and honored the entire community in the way that we should have. So I thank each and every one of them, but I do also want to recognize Ms. Blanca Cantu in this work. She didn't call herself out in a way that she should have here, but quite a visionary in terms of bringing all of the vision to life. And so thank you, Blanca, for your leadership, your vision, your passion, and your heart for the district, and for all that you do.
Well said, Dr. Sorensen. And again, thank you all to the committee members. I mean, to this day, we're still watching those videos, and we appreciate everything you've done and the legacy that you've led and the legacy that you're leaving for our future students. So thank you for that. I was telling Mr. Chapa that I was looking forward to seeing what hat he was going to wear today. So, but again, thank you very much. Thank you. And then you too, Blanca. Thank you for everything you've done. Like I said, we've been watching the short videos that you've put out, and they're so informative, and they're done so well and professional. Thank you for that. Dr. Sorensen, next item on the agenda is the superintendent's update presented by our Chief of Business, Finance, and Administrative Services, Merjet Crispo.
Good evening, President Alvarez, Dr. Sorensen, members of the board. It's my pleasure to introduce you to Ms. Sandra Guerrero, Executive Director of Payroll for La Joya ISD. With over 25 years of experience in public education, Mrs. Guerrero brings a strong background in instruction, leadership, and operational excellence. She is committed to ensuring accurate, timely, and compliant payroll services and to support the district mission of educational excellence, the right of every student. I'm very proud to introduce you, Sandra.
Ms. Crispo, if you don't mind, is it okay if Sandra says a few things about herself so we know a little bit about you? I'm going to put her on the spot. I think I'm going to start doing that from now on. You don't want to say anything? Okay. No, you're welcome.
I'm really happy to be here. I was at Sheridan for a very long time, since kindergarten, actually. And this is a great opportunity, and I'm just happy to have this opportunity to work with you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Crispo. Thank you. As I've informed Dr. Sorensen in the past, and I think we would all agree that we're assembling the dream team here at La Joya, and so we continue to build on success. So thank you for that. Next item on the agenda is 7.2 is our staffing and leveling process updates presented by our Chief Human Capital and Talent Development, Ms. Miller. Welcome.
Good evening, Board President, board members, and Dr. Sorensen. Yes, tonight we're going to talk about a critical initiative that will strengthen our district's ability to serve every student effectively in the district, strategic staff leveling. So, why staff leveling? We have to ensure that we're meeting our students' needs effectively, no matter what campus they're on. We have to maintain operational efficiency, we have to manage our resources responsibly, and we need to support our staff transitions. But what's the benefit of leveling? So we actually level because we want to ensure that we have students in our classrooms and that we are basing our decisions on actual enrollment and not just projections. We also want to prevent that we are overstaffed or understaffed in situations that constrain our budget or maybe make it where we're not having the best educational outcome possible. We need to adapt to our enrollment changes when they occur, whether it's at the beginning of the year or at different times in the year. And we have to ensure that we have financial sustainability throughout our district. So we are going to go now to our successes in hiring. We have built a solid foundation for staff leveling. We have had many recent hiring wins. The first is we've been able to hire hard vacancies, which are math and science teachers. We filled many of our fine arts positions. We've had multiple elementary positions that have been onboarded, and we've been able to find support staff to help at our campuses. We've also rehired 275 of our teachers. So that is very exciting. We're keeping these amazing employees in our district that want to be in La Jolla ISD. Our small but mighty human capital team has onboarded over 250 plus new hires, which is exciting. It shows that people want to come work in La Jolla ISD. We've had 2 job fairs. The first one was on June 10th. We had 281 applicants. This was over at the Wellness Center. People were excited. They were walking through, meeting with principals, and it was transparent in how we hire, that you have to apply, that you interview, that we check recommendations. So it was very transparent in our processes. Out of those, we had 74 recommendations that day, so it was a 26.3% recommendation rate. But we had additional hires after the job fair because there were second interviews. So they came to the job fair, they got an invitation to come to a second interview, and then many more were recommended. We also had another hiring fair on July 25th. We had 165 applicants, and 38 were recommended that day. And of course, the same process. Many had other interviews and were hired after that date. So we have a very solid foundation to start doing staff leveling. So we do know that we have some strategic realignment to do. We know that we need special education teachers in different areas, career and technical teachers, to make sure that our fine arts are covered, and we do have about 10 core subject areas that have vacancies. So we do have a systematic process. We start by confirming enrollment on day 10. So that is actually on Friday, August 22nd. We will come together and confirm the enrollment at each of our campuses and each of our classrooms. We assess our staffing and identify imbalances. So that'll be between August 23rd and the 25th. We review and adjust, and we collaborate with our principals. And then we finalize and support our staff with smooth transitions. So staff will be notified by August 27th. Now you see down here that we are going to give them transition days, August 28th and 29th. This is to ensure that they have time to pack their belongings, to get to their new classroom, their new department, and to be able to set up and be ready to serve in their new location. And sometimes leveling happens within the same building. So it may be that somebody's just moving from one grade level to another grade level, or it could be a department where they're moving to one department to another one. But we want to ensure that they have a smooth transition, that they have time to get their stuff where it needs to be set up and be ready for when they start their new position. We really try to reduce the impact, whether it be a department or a campus. So we only look at over and understaffed areas. So that could be specific grade levels or courses or specific positions within a department. We don't want any ripple effects. So we're not going to say, okay, the last person was a second grade teacher, so we take a second grade teacher and then move a fifth grade down to second grade. No, we look at the grade level, the department, the position that may need to be realigned, and then we use policy DFFB to do that. We want minimal campus and department disruption. So an example would be only employees in the affected position impacted, other positions remain unchanged, and then one employee may be realigned. So y'all heard me talk about policy DFFB a lot, and this policy also applies when we are doing staff leveling. So our first priority is we ask for volunteers. They must be qualified for the target position, and like I said, we're not going to make ripple effects, so it has to be within the campus or department or the grade level that we need to realign. Second, we look at certifications, endorsements, and any specialized training. Third is extra duties. Are they department chairs, coaches? It's our compensated or stipend roles. Fourth is their professional background, so education and relevant experience. And then the final factor within policy DFFB would be seniority. How long have they been in that position? So our staff members will receive direct communication from their current principal or their supervisor regarding realignment details. And they'll also receive information for the new supervisor and contact details and information on how they will proceed with realigning. And that is our realigning process for the beginning of the 25-26 school year. And I am happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Questions for Ms. Miller?
I do, Mr. President.
Dr.
If I could
Marco?
ask a quick question.
Yes,
Ms.
Dr. Marco.
Miller, on the, you had to mention the 2 job fairs. When you mentioned recommendations, 74, for example, out of 281 applicants, there are recommendations for hire?
There are recommendations for hire. So in La Jolla's processes, once you interview, you can recommend someone for hire. They do not get an offer until their certification, their background check, everything is done, and then human capital actually makes the offer to the candidate.
Okay, good. That was my next question. It's not necessarily an offer, but it's a recommendation.
It's a recommendation, yes,
Okay.
sir. Those are 2 different things. Thank you for asking that question and for the clarification.
Good question, Dr. Margot. Members of the board, do we have any questions for Ms. Miller? Seeing that we have none, thank you, Ms. Miller. Great presentation.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, next item on the agenda is our 7.3 strategic plan rollout by Dr. Sorensen. Dr. Sorensen?
Excellent. So tonight is the unveiling. It is a whole year's worth of work coming to life for our incredible district. And so I am so excited to roll this out and share it with the community and share it with the board and really move this work forward. This was a labor of love, and I do mean labor of love, because we gathered over 5,500 voices in this process across our district to land here for our strategic plan for the next 5 years. And so I'm very excited to roll this out and share it with everyone. Our title is Achieving Excellence Together 2030. So here we are. This happens to me every time. Blanca, do you want to just drive? Thank you. So why this plan and why now? It's really time for the community, and we heard this throughout the process. Our community, our employees, our families, our students, everyone wants to know what's next. We heard from the community loud and clear. People want to know where we're going. That year-to-year unstableness needs to just stop. People want to know, what are we going to work on? How are we going to work on it? And what does that mean for me? Regardless of your role as a stakeholder, whether you're a parent, whether you're a community member, whether you're an educator, whether you're a student, what's going to get better in our district? What's going to improve for me? And so we wanted to really take this moment of transformation. I've been here for 18 months to really lay out a clear vision for the community, and that the community's voice is deeply represented in this plan, so that it's not just, and I think I said this every time I did a session, it's not Sorensen's plan. It's a strategic plan designed with the community, for our district. And so grounded in this plan is our North Star goal. The percentage of students who attend A and B campuses district-wide will increase by 6% over the next 5 years. And that is really grounded in the vision for our district, which is educational excellence is the right of every student. And so we've built on that to say every student, every classroom, every day. It's not just enough to have us say educational excellence is the right of every student. Where does that live? Where does that breathe? That lives on campuses, in classrooms, across the district, everywhere. And so this plan was built with our community and for our community, and what we have here is just a representation the number of engagements, 49 total engagements, over 5,600 community members involved. We had our advisory councils, we had community design day, we had a survey. And so there were multiple ways in which we engaged with and partnered with our community to make sure that this plan represents their voice and their hopes and dreams for the future. And so what we heard in summary, and I really want to thank many of you, board members, for participating in this process. Some of you came out to town halls, you all came out to Community Design Day, you participated in listening sessions with teachers. And so what we heard from our community is that, in essence, we want to grow and keep strong leaders, teachers, and staff members who create safe and welcoming campuses for our students. Super high priority. Strong leaders, strong teachers that create high quality environments for kids. We want strong academic and career connected learning that will prepare our students for life after graduation. We heard very clearly from our parents repeatedly. They wanted the overemphasis on test preparation to stop. They wanted authentic learning experiences for their children every day in every classroom that then prepared their children for career and college after they graduated. Our community said that we want every student in every classroom to experience high quality curriculum and instruction and with the appropriate supports. That's what we need to provide as a district. It's not enough to just say we have curriculum. How are we providing quality instruction? And what do the supports look like for students? As you heard, I've talked about MTSS and our emphasis on that this year. We want to ensure that every family and every student has access to supportive and clear guidance and advising. We heard a lot of comments from parents and families that they need to know more, especially as our students transition from elementary to middle to high school to post-secondary. What do we offer as a district? What are the pathways, and how do I know how to support my child? And as a student, how do I know that these options and opportunities are right for me? So we got a lot of feedback from our community on that. We want to continue to build on strong relationships through trust, transparency, and accountability. Our staff said, nice start. Is this going to continue? We want to make sure that it does. The relationships, are you still going to come out and talk to us? Who's going to come out and talk to us? How often? So that we can continue to build trust and hold you accountable. And lastly, we want to see infrastructure and facilities and compensation and technology improvements across the district so that we are competitive with districts not only in the region, but across the state. We want to see the best facilities, the strongest compensation plan. We want new technology improvements on every campus, not only for our educators, but for our students. And it's not just about a device. It's how does the technology enhance the learning for our students and for our teachers? How do we use technology to make folks' life easier? And so we unveil our 5 strategic priorities. Those land clearly in excellence in leadership. We need the strongest principals on every campus. And so we will support the growth of strong, accountable leaders at every level who create conditions for high quality instruction in every classroom every day. We need empowered graduates. We need to ensure that students are ready for college, career, and life through rigorous academics, meaningful real-world experiences, and strong partnerships with families. We need to make sure that when they walk across that stage at the end of 12th grade, that they're ready and ready for a competitive world, career, college, or military, whatever their choice is. When they walk across that stage, they need choices, they need options. And our responsibility to make sure that they are empowered and knowledgeable and ready to do that. We need thriving students, and so we will create safe and inclusive and enriching environments where every student feels supported, valued, and inspired to grow both in and beyond the classroom. We had a lot of feedback around the role of athletics in our district, the role of the arts, the role of academic advancement. How are we providing opportunities for our kids to be engaged inside and outside of the classroom? We also heard a lot about behavior and social emotional support and behavioral support. And so our job over the next 5 years is to create an ecosystem where our students can thrive, feel safe, and find spaces for every child to have a connectedness with our district. We want to build community trust, unity, and partnership. I say this all the time. We are our best on Friday nights. We are our very best on Friday nights. It's magical to be out there. And so we don't want that to just be on Friday nights. And so we will build strong relationships with staff and families and the community through transparent communication, responsive customer service, and shared commitment to every student's success. And that requires deep partnership with our families, deep partnership with our community, and transparency and accountability from us. And lastly, but not least, operational excellence and financial stability. We will strengthen our operations, our facilities, and our finances to ensure that every resource directly supports high-quality teaching, student learning, and long-term district success. We need to make sure that we are financially stable and that every dollar is being used to enhance student outcomes. And so again, I won't read these all to you, but what you can see is priority 1 is excellence in leadership. And so you have our aligned initiatives here on the left. It's my left, it might be out there's right. But you have the aligned initiatives, which are the things that we are going to do. We're going to elevate our principals. We're going to position the district central office as a support hub. We're going to enhance leadership pathways, and we're going to establish evaluation and performance criteria that recognizes excellence. And then you will have for each of our priorities our measurable outcomes. And what you will notice that we intentionally did is we didn't create a whole bunch of new measurable outcomes. We're holding ourselves accountable to the measurable outcomes that we have as board goals, as constraints, as exit criteria, so that we're always working towards the same outcomes. We do have some, though, that are different that we've added. For example, look at number 3. By June 2030, employee satisfaction with campus and district leadership will increase to at least an 80% on the annual district culture and climate survey. You'll remember that that is one of my constraints, but we added it here as we know that that annual survey is something yet that we have to create. So that's just an example of where, some are different and some are the same. So priority 2, empowered graduates, again, it's structured in the same way. We're going to deliver high quality curriculum and instruction that builds academic and post-secondary readiness. We're going to strengthen foundational literacy and numeracy. We're going to expand access to career-connected learning. That means we're going to look into CTE, our workforce programs. Are we really preparing our students for the careers of the future? And then we're going to strengthen our college credit and credentialing opportunities, making sure that, again, when kids walk across the stage, they are prepared for the world that they are about to meet. And again, our measurable outcomes, you'll see, align to our board goals. Priority 3, thriving students. Our aligned initiatives are expanding K-12 access to athletics and fine arts and enrichment. We heard that as a pride point in this district. Everyone wants better, stronger, more successful programs for their students. And so that is an initiative for us. That is something we are going to provide. We are going to strengthen inclusive and high-quality special education services to make sure that all of our students are growing academically and have opportunities outside the classroom. and walk across the stage ready to compete. And we're going to expand innovative campus models to ensure that every family has access to high-quality, best-fit programming. And that's aligned with our System of Great Schools work. We heard a lot last year when we consolidated our early college high schools that some of our families were saying, well, we like smaller schools. Or do we have an opportunity in the future to create different types of opportunities? And so that's something that we want to explore and possibly expand these models based upon the feedback that we will get from the community. This will not be, Dr. Sorensen decides the kinds of schools. We will seek input from the community to say, if we're pursuing new campus opportunities, what do we want to see? And so again, you'll see our measurable outcomes here, aligned also to board goals, superintendent constraints, but you will also see different ones here where it says by June 2030, every campus will offer a broad menu of extracurricular and enrichment opportunities, ensuring equal access for students across grade levels and neighborhoods. Because one of the things we also heard is that there were inequities. Some networks had stronger programming than others. Some parts of our district had access more than other parts of our district. And so it's our responsibility to make sure that kids have access, families have access, equitable across the district, not just in one particular community. Priority 4, community trust, unity, and partnership. And so here, I can't say this enough, because I think the opening line says it all. We believe that strong schools are built on strong relationships. And so we will create inclusive structures for community dialogue and engagement. We will keep customer service as a district priority. That doesn't go anywhere. Customer service is something that we have to show up every single day, understanding that we provide and we serve the community here in La Jolla ISD. We're going to build campus capacity for family and community partnerships because we know. I look at this, at the board. Some of you are parents in the district, and the very first place that you want the information from is your campus, right? And so we've got to build campus capacity to do that. And then we're going to strengthen communications, and we're going to build trust and generate engagement through very strategic communications. So again, you'll see 80% of families will report satisfaction with district communication. 80% of families will report a strong sense of connection to their child's campus. And 100% of our campuses will host at least 4 inclusive, high-impact engagement events. And so this is different a bit, say, than board goals, because the only way we know if we're meeting this is if we measure what our parents and families tell us. There's not a board goal to measure that. And so this is a space where we created different measurable outcomes and goals for ourselves. And priority 4, operational excellence and financial stability. Again, we will ensure that there is effective and equitable use of facilities and transportation, making sure that our students are arriving to school on time, making sure that they have effective transportation, that we're communicating with families, their children are safe, and that they've gotten home or gotten picked up. Our ways of communicating with families around transportation is a high priority here. Ensuring access to modern tools and infrastructure that power excellence. This is inside and outside of the classroom. We've got to make sure that we have the most modern tools to help those that do operations and infrastructure, but the same goes for our teachers. If you think about AI, how are we using AI to strengthen teacher practice and also take some workload off of them? And then we need to strengthen our workforce systems through recognition, growth, and accountability. And then lastly, uphold strong financial management and compliance. And so again, you see our measurable outcomes. We will conduct a facilities audit and implement the results from our facilities master plan. And then you see we have staff satisfaction, we have district and campus investments directly supporting student learning, and then we will address all findings and implement 100% of the recommendations from the comprehensive financial audit, making sure that we are in full compliance not only with the law, but with best practices in fiscal management. And then this is a part that, this is our heart. But our families told us, we want La Jolla ISD to graduate our students with a vision of excellence. And so this overwhelmingly was what our parents and families and students and employees told us. We want La Jolla ISD graduates to be self-confident and strong communicators and independent thinkers, disciplined leaders, problem solvers, adaptable, resilient. And so those characteristics are part of who we create in the way that we teach our children every day in the classroom. We just had a coach that we recognized. How are our coaches playing a role in that? It's not just teachers in the classroom every day, but how are we shaping the whole student so that when they leave and as they matriculate through our system, they can communicate what they need. They can advocate for themselves. They become the problem solvers of issues that we may be having across the district. They're independent thinkers where they are not afraid to speak out for themselves, for their community, and for their school. And so over and over again, we heard from families that we not only want you to have them academically prepared or prepared for careers, we also want holistic development. And so this is our portrait of a graduate, again, informed by our community. And then how do we turn our plan into action? For all of this, the community could sit and say, okay, Dr. Sorensen, those are a lot of really great words. And so each one of our strategic initiatives will be assigned to a team member of the district leadership team who will be responsible for developing annual goal progress measures. And Joe is going to show you actually how we're going to measure and track each of these and how it will be transparent to the community. Because we're also going to build a public reporting dashboard on our website so that the entire community can see our goal progress and how we are making gains on each of these things that we said that we were going to do. We also will give quarterly board updates to track initiatives and plan for needed updates. Just like last year with district priorities, I came and I gave updates. We're going to amplify this by not only giving you the updates, but creating a dashboard, creating metrics for each of these and report out and then transparently holding ourselves accountable. And so how do we get the word out, right? Because I'm sitting here at a board meeting and I'm telling you and I'm telling all the people who are watching, but it's going to, again, require, demand, community engagement. And so as you can see here, August all the way through May, planning on launching, and that's what we're working on now, professional development with district and school leaders as to what their role is in this work. Everything from town halls and coffee chats, because everybody said, are you still going to come out and talk with us and listen and learn? December and January implementation on progress updates. Student engagement, I will still have my advisory councils. February, March, second wave of campus and community feedback. We will again continue to publish public-facing dashboards, and then in April and May, the implementation will give an annual summary of how we did, having celebrations, and for next steps, where do we need to go next year, as this will be a 5-year continuous plan. And so we wanted to show you our video, our kickoff video, as we unveil this, and then I am more than happy to answer board questions.
Something big is happening at La Jolla ISD.
And we built it together with our families, teachers, and community.
We dreamed big about our future, and now it's ready.
I'm proud to share La Jolla ISD's new 5-year strategic plan. This is a clear roadmap for the next chapter of our 100 years of excellence. We listened to over 5,500 voices through town halls and surveys and community events. You told us what you wanted. You want strong teachers, strong leaders, safe schools. more opportunities for our students, and more ways for our families to connect with us every step of the way. This plan is built with you and for you. And now it is time to bring it to life together. Our goal, more students learning at A and B campuses by 2029. We'll focus on 5 priorities: excellence in leadership, empowered graduates, thriving students, community trust, unity and partnership, and operational excellence and financial stability.
This means more opportunities and more ways to succeed.
We're excited to learn and grow.
La Jolla ISD is moving forward and we're ready.
Thank you, Blanca. So Board President, if there are any questions from the board, I'm more than happy to answer.
Members of the board, do you have any questions for Dr. Sorensen?
I have a statement, Mr. President.
Yes, Vice President.
I just want to say, from hearing this, Dr. Sorensen, and seeing it all kind of come together from all of last year's work, it's just very awe-inspiring. You know, I think lots of the community members, the students, the parents really appreciate, you know, us taking into account everything they said. You know, you could see that all this came from their input, from what the students wanted, how they were feeling, from the parents, from the staff. And I think that's a very good message that we have been propagating, that we want to know how they feel, what they're thinking. You know, we want their input, you know, we need their input. And I think it's amazing that, you know, you and your team have been able to put this together. And, you know, now it's, you know, it's tangible. You know, we have it, we're ready, now we're all off to go and get this, you know, get this moving. So it's amazing. Thank you. Thank you for all of y'all, what you did. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President.
Yes, great remarks. Anyone else?
It's been a tremendous amount of data that's been collected, just like I was present for some of those meetings, so it's fabulous to see this together, to see the goals, and we're prepared, we're aligned, and we're being transparent, so thank you.
Thank you.
It's great
Well
work.
said, Board Member Ochoa. So this is very similar, and I think Dr. Carlos Margo is very aware of the next thing I'm going to state. But back in 2016, as you know, we were charged by developing the strategic plan, the tri-agency master plan that was charged by us. And this is really similar to what we did, because there were 5 charges, very similar to what we're doing here, and how it's going to impact our school district. I think I've mentioned this in the past, Dr. Sorensen. If it's one thing that I'm going to always remember you by, is the fact that you, from day one, you were engaged with the community. I mean, from day one, that was one of the things that you stated to us, that I want to be out there. I want to listen to not only the students, but the parents and to staff, and I want to hear them. And the picture that stands out in my head, I think I've told you this I think once a month I tell you this, but it's when you were engaged in conversations with our custodial staff and our transportation team. You know, that was impressive. And for you to put this plan together, I think the coach would agree that we have a game plan now, you know, and this is really good. And we're accountable for this. And I know you're accountable for this. And we as a board are accountable for our actions. And so I'm very grateful to you to do this and to step up and present something like this. I know that you've referenced that it's not Dr. Sorensen, but it's your team. So at this opportunity, I wanted to share with you how grateful we are to all of you for helping Dr. Sorensen. This is not an easy task. And so we still have some work ahead of us, but the fact that you've laid this out, you've listened to our constituents, our students, our staff, our unions, I'm very grateful to that. I'm very proud. So thank you, Dr. Sorensen.
Thank you, President.
Members of the board, any other questions before we move on? No. Okay, seeing that we have none, again, Dr. Sorensen, I guess I'm assuming, Blanca, that everything that we've laid out will be in Spanish, right? We've talked about that. I'm good. I just wanted to make that sure. Just wanted to confirm that with those that are listening in tonight. So Joseph will be covering item 7.4, performance monitoring of the strategic plan. Joseph?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Board President, members of the board, Dr. Sorensen, members of the La Jolla ISD community. So it is my pleasure to share with you what our accountability system is going to be around implementing the strategic plan. So it's going to help answer the question, how do we hold ourselves accountable over the next 5 years? And how do we know that we're improving as a result of our work on the strategic plan? So this presentation introduces a structure called the PMOC, or the Performance Monitoring Oversight Committee, or PMOC, and it ensures our strategic plan is not only implemented, but sustained, measured, and continuously improved. And at the heart of it is this committee. So my presentation has 3 goals. One, it's going to introduce the PMOC framework, which will serve as the district's strategic plan accountability system. It'll describe how the PMOC supports the implementation and monitoring of our 5-year strategic plan, and it's going to preview our plan for live dashboards that will track progress on our strategic priorities and make data accessible to all stakeholders. So I want to stamp here that PMOC is not just a committee, right? It's a commitment to transparency, alignment, and excellence. So what's the purpose of the PMOC? So research shows that about 60 to 90% of strategic plans fall short of full implementation, often due to loss of momentum or lack of sustained attention. In other words, organizations generate strategic plans, school districts generate strategic plans, and too often they end up as the binder on the shelf that collects dust. So our PMOC is a safeguard against these pitfalls. It's going to provide ongoing support and accountability to maintain momentum. It's going to be a unifying structure that aligns all of our district efforts, and it's going to be a mechanism for continuous feedback and course correction. Our PMOC has a reporting structure, as you can see here. It's a simplified reporting structure for tonight's presentation, but you can see where the school board sits, where the oversight committee sits, and then we'll have what we'll call initiative owners. And I'll unpack what each of the roles are within the committee. So what's the role of committee members? So membership of the committee includes executive cabinet members who serve as executive sponsors of the strategic priorities, as well as identified district leaders. Their role is to review initiative status before monthly meetings, push initiative owners' thinking through probing questions and meaningful feedback, offer support and collaborative problem solving to address barriers. They'll help ensure alignment to the strategic plan across the district. We'll track progress towards strategic outcome goals and goal progress measures. And then the executive sponsor of the initiative will report on their progress of their assigned strategic priority. And then we have what will be called initiative owners. And what's their role? They'll lead the implementation of the aligned initiatives under the strategic priority. In other words, they're going to drive the work, right? They're going to be the owners of the work on the ground. They'll develop and track annual goal progress measures aligned to the strategic plan outcome goals. They're going to report twice per year to the PMOC and collaborate to problem solve challenges. And they're going to contribute data to live dashboards that inform internal and public stakeholders. You can see on the far right of the slide, the 2 rounds of presentations. One will occur essentially in the fall semester, where initiative owners will present project plans and goal progress measures. And then in the second round in the spring, between February and June, the initiative owners will present leading data indicators related to their initial project implementation. Here's a sample of how the strategic priority is unpacked for the PMOC. You can see that there you have the strategic priority, and then you have the to-be-named executive cabinet member who will be the sponsor, the reporting dates, and then you have each of the initiatives that are underneath that strategic priority. right? A initiative owner will be named for each one of those initiatives, and then unpacked below are the success metrics, right, or the performance metrics tied to the strategic priority in each of the initiatives. Here is our year at a glance reporting structure, calendar for the year. So we'll report on priority 1 in September, and then 2 in October, 3 in November, 4 in December, 5 in January, and then we'll repeat through June in the fall, for the spring. So we'll develop live data dashboards, as Dr. Sorensen said in her presentation, that will be publicly available on our website, and we'll update our progress towards strategic plan outcome goals, yearly benchmarks, and goal project measures. Each strategic priority will have a unique dashboard and tied to each of the strategic priorities. Excellence in leadership, empowered graduates, thriving students, community trust, unity and partnership, and operational excellence and financial stability. So here is an example, just a mock-up of what a dashboard could look like. In this case, this is around our North Star goal. You can see how the goal is stated, and then it'll track our targets and how we're performing on those targets year after year. So what's next for the PMOC, or the Performance Management Monitoring Oversight Committee? Well, we're going to identify PMOC members and initiative owners this month. PMOC training will occur with our executive coach later this month. We'll finalize yearly benchmark and goal progress measures early in the fall. We're going to launch our public dashboards with initial data early in the fall. And then we will schedule our quarterly board updates on the strategic plan implementation project. So with that, I'm happy to take questions.
Members of the board, do we have any questions for Joseph?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I do have a question. Can you tell us a little bit more? Oh, first of all, I'm going to take it a little bit back and just highlight or talk on top of what everybody else has said. You know, just understanding the why, the how, the who, the when, and why it's all happening. Thank you guys for all of that. So I really appreciate that. But taking this into consideration, when we think about who actually qualifies as an initiative owner, and how are they going to be selected? If you could tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. So we'll start having those conversations in executive cabinet here after tonight. But initiative owners will typically be at the executive director, or deputy chief level.
Thank you.
Good question, Tanya. Any other questions? Ms. Ochoa?
To piggyback off of that, the initiative, is it that for each priority, there's 4 initiatives, is it the idea that one owner will manage all 4 of those under the strategic priority?
No, so thank you for that question. Happy to clarify. That's where the executive sponsor comes in. So the executive sponsor sort of has oversight and support and responsibility around the entire strategic priority and each of the initiatives that unpacks underneath that. There will be one owner tied to each initiative.
Okay.
Good question. Joseph, I have a question for you. Are all initiatives going to be worked on at the same time? Because I'm looking at slide 47, right? And it says in September, it's initiative 1.1, 1.2, and blah, blah, blah. And then when we get to June, priority 5, we're working on that. Maybe I'm reading this wrong, but will they be all consistently, will the teams all be working at the same time on different initiatives, or how does that work?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
There will be, like, certainly in the up front, there's going to be some common set of work across the board, like defining what the work plans are going to be, defining what the actual, like, goal progress measures are going to be, et cetera. Like, that'll be common across the board up front, but some of the actual initiatives will depend on our timeline for implementation of those things. Dr. Sorensen, did you have?
Yeah, thank you. That's a really great question, because it's important to manage expectations. So you think about something around, you take something in priority 5, and I'll just use like facilities. That is not an initiative that just happens and changes. Yeah. So right now you may see the launch of a facilities master plan. That may be the work stream that takes place in that space for that whole year. What are we doing around launching a facilities plan, the findings of the facilities plan? What are the actions we take for the facilities master plan? Like that one work stream. And then the improvement maybe in year 2. And so it's really taking each one of those and saying, what are the first action steps? What's the timeline within that? Because some of them may require launch after another one, right? After something takes place. Or some of the initiatives may genuinely take 5 years to accomplish. And so, we'll need community input, or we'll need additional resources, or our resources will have to shift in order for things to change. But there are some, again, like around special education, we're already starting to move on that. So I think it'll vary on the initiative, not only when it begins, but how it begins and how it lives over the 5 years.
Thank you for that.
I have one more question.
Ms. Ochoa, go ahead.
For the dashboard, do we have the capabilities of reporting in that manner, or is that something that we have to develop or purchase?
Our Chief of Technology.
Yes, there he is. Haitham, do you want to address that? Because he's already started building dashboards for us.
Hello, thank you for that. Basically, yes, we do have the capability. That's what we're working on right now. We're building the infrastructure to house all these different data points so that we can start presenting it in a visual way, and that's essentially what will end up being on our dashboards. So this will be one of many that's to come.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, Dr. Hernandez.
So for our goals that we established already last year and stuff, we were included. Are we going to be included for this? I know it's different and it's not something that like TA requires us to do. But we are going to be seeing all the dashboards, and it's, each priority seems very complicated for me to track and try to organize and see how it's going to function. But is there going to be another like a meeting for us to work on it, or you guys are going to do it independently?
I want to make sure I'm understanding your question. So you're asking, ma'am,
Are we going to have input?
Are you going to have input into
for the goals?
Into what the goals are actually going to be? Dr. Sorensen?
So I think we have the measurable outcomes, right? Those are all established, and those are aligned to board goals or superintendent constraints, or say like the 80%, right? Like those outcomes have been established. I think where we will definitively seek board input is as work plans are developed, right? And so again, I look out at the folks sitting out there, and I look at Ms. Lozano, right? And I immediately think of her as like an owner around the ecosystem of behavioral supports, right? And so we want to come to the board and say, so for that particular initiative, here's what Ms. Lozano is thinking, here's the timeline on that, here's what step 1, 2, 3, and 4 would be, and then get board feedback on that to see if that's the right pace. Knowing the work then that we have to diagnose to say, here's what needs to be done, and here's the capacity currently of the system to do that work. So yes, we definitely want board input as the initiatives are unpacked in terms of prioritization.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is really good, Joseph. I don't think I've ever heard of something like this, so I'm just curious, how did this come about?
It's a part of best practices. So many of you you've all been a part of our system of Great Schools work. And so as a part of that work, and our partners in that work, this is a best practice system that we've customized for our local purposes.
Great, thank you. Thank you for that. Members of the board, do we have any questions for Joseph before we ask him to? All right, thank you very much, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Next item on the agenda, Dr. Derek Little, Chief Academic School Leadership, will be going over the proposed definitions of status and goal progress measures. Dr. Little, I see you have a group of followers now wearing a bow tie Wednesday, so.
We're waiting for you to join us,
Wow.
President Alvarez.
Maybe I shouldn't have said anything. But it just, you guys just look so nice out there. It just looks so nice.
We can bring you one next
Yeah.
meeting. No, it's happy to have a group of compatriots there. Good evening, Board and Superintendent. We are here tonight to follow up on our conversation at the workshop that we held a few weeks ago to really unpack and revisit our goal progress measures as part of our work with Lone Star Governance. So tonight, I just want to summarize where we left that conversation, and we are asking the board later in the agenda to actually approve these recommendations for the adjustments to the goal progress measures. So to begin with, as a reminder for everything we've done, and as you've heard the strategic plan, like all of what we are here in service of is honoring and ultimately achieving our really ambitious and vibrant vision and mission. And our goal progress measures really help know if we're on the right path to what you just learned about in the strategic plan and to achieving this vision and the mission. We are not, however, and we want to be clear with the board and the community, changing our student outcome goals. When we set those back in the fall, we set those and committed to them for the duration of that 5-year period. So these go through 2029. Tonight, we're not discussing them or proposing adjustments to them. Instead, we're looking at the goal progress measures underneath each one of these student outcome goals. We are not proposing changes to the scope or focus of these GPMs. So we're continuing, for example, in Goal 1, third grade reading, we're going to continue to look and monitor how first graders are doing with MAP, how second graders are doing, how our kinder to first and second grade students are doing with foundational reading fluency. So we established and the board approved these focus areas for the GPMs back in the fall a year ago, and we're continuing with these. We still believe that these are the right interim indicators of our progress and help us decide where we need to make a change or an adjustment in our work. Instead, what we're doing and asking you to approve tonight are the specific numerical targets that we're ultimately setting over the next 4-year period in this work. As we discussed in the workshop, and we just wanted to remind the board and really the community tonight, you're going to see from us district-wide targets for each GPM. So for example, with GPM 1.1, we're going to say we're going to go from X percentage of first grade students who are at that level, 50th percentile or above on MAP, to a higher level in 2029. And that is a district level number. But we will always continue to be both transparent about how our campuses are doing and rigorous in the expectations that we're setting for each school. So we will set school level targets aligned to each GPM and goal that is differentiated and unique to that campus, taking into account that they are starting at different places, but all of our campuses have to improve for us to be able to reach our district targets. And our campuses who are the furthest away from where we need them to be, so are having the lowest levels of achievement and growth, have more room to make up over time, so they will have even more ambitious targets in these GPMs. And so as we've done throughout this past year, when we come and present this data to you, we'll continue to show you those campus level results. What will be an improvement now going into year 2 of this work is you will actually know how one campus is close to its target versus another campus who has a different target, all aligned to get the district to where we need to be. So let's go through these. We'll start with Goal 1, which again is looking at third grade reading. As a reminder, again, to the community here, when we set these GPMs last fall, for all the ones that are based on the MAP assessment, we had no prior data. Last year was the first year we ever used that assessment, and so we didn't have any data points to like build trends off of or to really anchor those goals in. So all of these had X's and Y's in there as placeholders for us to come back in the future, and that's what we're doing now to set these baselines and targets. So just as an example with GPM 1.1, the percentage of first grade students scoring at or above the 50th percentile on MAP growth reading, we didn't know what that was in the past. That's why it was an X as a placeholder. Now we have that data. It was 36% from this past school year. And what we're saying we're going to get to by June of 2029 is 45%. So that's how each of these are structured. We tried to clarify visually with the red and underline what the new data sets are. So we're looking for at least a 9-point gain in GPM 1.1, a 12-point gain in GPM 1.2 with second graders. We've got to accelerate that to get them closer to where they need to be for third grade. And looking for substantial, this is our biggest gain here in 1.3 with that foundational reading fluency. So are our kinder, first, and second graders getting to the place where they can read those simple sentences, answer those questions correctly about them? Because of the development journey that can happen in this grade span, like students can learn a lot of things really quickly at these age levels, and our commitment to the science of reading, that's part of why we set such an aggressive target here. But it's also, if we're not meeting this target, then we're not getting to where we need to be with GPM 1.1 and 1.2. So these are like feeders into other aspects of what we're measuring here. Mr. President, happy to pause at each one if you want, or to go through the whole thing and then take questions.
Members of the board, what are your wishes? Proceed?
Yeah.
Proceed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Little.
All right, so for goal 2, we're staying in the early grade space, but we're moving from reading and math. Same structure here for 2 of these, but for the first one in 2.1, that's actually not the MAP assessment, that's the Texas Kindergarten Entry Assessment. We have had prior data there, so we were able to set actual targets last year, but happily we exceeded that target for this year. So we set the target for 78. We ended up at 83. We're obviously not going to just rest on that and say, hey, we're good for the next 4 years. So we're adjusting this to continue to push our progress forward, working to get that into the high 80s by 2029. And in 2.2 and 2.3, similar to what we just saw with GPMs for goal 1, we did not have that prior data, so now we're setting those. Similarity here to what you saw in reading, we're trying to get to that 45 space with GPM 2.2 for first grade. Unfortunately, our second graders are at a lower level here. We're at 32, so we still want to be aggressive, but part of the SMART goals are also being realistic, and so that's 32 to 40 as opposed to the 45 you've seen in those other places to make sure that we are still pushing ourselves really hard in this work, but also not overshooting so we're demoralizing sort of the path and journey to get there. And then with goal 3, we move into the middle school space. So this is 8th grade reading, and we look at each of the grade levels, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Again, we're back to the MAP assessment, but because we're now in STAR-tested grades, we have that direct alignment and correlation to STAR outcomes with the MAP data. So all of these are set at the meets plus equivalent with our MAP data. Again, we didn't have prior data, so now we're filling that in. Again, trying to be really aggressive here at the 6th grade level, getting to that 50% over the next 4 years. With 7th grade going from 32 to 45, so a 13-point jump is what we're pursuing. And then with 8th grade, a 12-point increase here over that time period. And then the last one with goal 4, college, career, military readiness. Remember this one we actually have 4 because we got 2 parts of GPM 4.1. For 4.1a for TSI, that is the only one of the GPMs that we're not proposing a change to. We fortunately had enough historical data when we set this target last year. It still seems to fit with where we ended this most recent school year a couple of months ago. So we're maintaining that from 28 to 34 and not recommending a change there. For associate degrees, this is actually, it does have an adjustment. Sorry, the 9% is not in red. But going from 7 to 9%, remember we had to take a moment in the workshop and sort of talk about the pathways here because we have population changes due to the consolidation and ultimately a different set of students that will have access and the ability to earn the associate degrees in this time period. Knowing more will have access as the years go on past 2029 because we have new programs opening. But we won't have those seniors able to graduate between now and 2029. So that's why this one looks less ambitious, but given those population changes, this will still be a really difficult target to meet at that 9%. And then for 4.2 with completers, this is another one where we actually did better this year than the targets that we had set. So we're adjusting that to ultimately get to 72% by the 2029 period. And same story here with freshmen on track. We exceeded the first year target, so we've adjusted that in line with the research base here, freshmen on track, to get to 86%. So that's what we're asking you to consider and approve later this evening, and this is what we will continue to report out on in subsequent board meetings. Lastly, just a reminder, this is not something the board has to vote on, but we did discuss it, so again, wanted to be transparent with the community about the changes we are making here and how we will status our progress against these goal progress measures. So based on our discussion in the workshop, pending any other feedback here this evening, because these are district-wide targets and set at the district level, the status will be based on the district level attainment. However, we are fully committed and will continue to report specific student group progressions against these targets, as well as showing you campus level data. So that level of transparency is not going away. It just is not going to be factored into the status itself. And then finally, we have further clarified how we will determine green, yellow, red here based on whether we're giving an interim update. For example, if we're talking about middle of year map, we still have time to make adjustments before we get that final measure in that year, versus if we are talking about end of year data, and that actually is where we landed. So this just starts to delineate distance from the target that we will use to determine whether we're on track, slightly off track, or completely off track and in the red. So all of this is based on our learnings and feedback throughout the last year to sort of update how we're going about this. And with that, happy to take questions.
Members of the board, do we have any questions for Dr. Little?
I may.
Ms. Ochoa?
I'm glad to see that all of our adjustments are progressive, yet still achievable. And no adjustments was in the reverse. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Members of the board, any other questions? Joseph, I'm a little, maybe not concerned, but I guess on GPM 4.1B, the 7 to 9, can you explain that again to me?
I think I actually have a slide in here that'll help me with that. I do. Okay. So this is a slide that we worked through in the workshop. And first, President Alvarez, just want to acknowledge that concern. When on the surface, that does not look like we are pushing ourselves to get to that educational excellence. And when we made the commitment with the Jimmy Carter consolidation, we said we need to get to a place where every student who starts at Jimmy Carter graduates with an associate degree. That commitment is not diminishing, even though this looks like a 7 to 9% change. Part of what's factoring in there, and just to quickly try to explain what's on this slide, is this shows the maximum number of students in any given year that would be able to earn the associate degree. And so to unpack that a little further, if they're at Jimmy Carter, they have those early college pathways that ultimately can land in an associate degree. So every student coming in at Jimmy Carter has that potential. At Juarez, Lincoln, and Palmview, those are our students in our P-TECH pathways. So while every student has access to dual credit coursework, the students in the P-TECH program have access to the full degree opportunity. And that's a more limited portion of the population of those students, and you see that in the smaller gray and blue parts of these bar charts. You may also question, where is La Jolla High School on here? That goes to my comment, like we're building and opening those pathways. As we sit here today this school year, La Jolla High School does not have a P-TECH pathway. We are, however, in a planning year working with TEA through a grant to start a P-TECH pathway, actually two, at La Jolla High School. But those students who would start next fall would not graduate until 2030, and so they're not factored in yet to this goal progress measure. The other thing here, just as you see the bars sort of go up and then come back down, that's the other reason of the 7 to 9. Remember, with the consolidation, we promised every current student at those 4 schools a seat at Jimmy Carter if they wanted to take it, and we went through a process with families to confirm that with them. That population is higher than what the long-term size of Jimmy Carter will be. So the 2029 graduating class is smaller than what it is in 28 and 27. So all of those factors are what go into the 7 to 9%, again, without taking away our commitment to dramatically improve in this space and ensure more of our students are actually getting access to these programs and completing them successfully.
Thank you, Dr. Little. Anyone else?
Adding on that, the 225 students per year would be in 2029?
We started that this year with this year's freshman class. So the 9th grade cohort size at Jimmy Carter is 225. That we continue each year. So if we retain all of those students for the whole 4 years and they all finish their associate degree, the maximum graduating potential at Jimmy Carter is 225.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Little. I know that we had gone over this in the past, but thank you for clarification, especially those that are viewing us. Any other questions from the board? Thank you, Dr. Little.
Board President, can I also add something?
Yes, Dr. Sorensen.
So one of the things that we also have been having conversation about, and I appreciate the board's push for us to also think about, and I think Dr. Margot has said this before, is it only an associate's degree? Right? We've talked about increasing the number of kids who graduate with an IBC. And I also heard Dr. Hernandez talk last time about students who have access to just advanced academic programming, like kids who choose to take AP for advanced placement credit, right? Rather than going the dual enrollment route. And so we've had conversation, I've even talked to Anna Marie Candelario about it, is that as we think about academic performance and improvement, we also should be measuring how many kids are taking advanced placement classes and how are they doing in those classes, because there may be kids who don't want the associates. And that's, I think, what we talked about. Some kids want a certificate, and we want to make sure that our kids are getting certificates in career pathways that will get them a job. And so we want to hold ourselves accountable, just like it said in the strategic plan, for those opportunities to be available for children equitably across the district. Because every student and every parent may not want a dual enrollment, associate's degree pathway at Juarez Lincoln or at La Jolla. But what we do want to be able to offer them is a career pathway where they earn a certificate and they're a completer. We also do want to be able to offer them advanced coursework in AP and honors. And so those opportunities, we're going to also be holding ourselves accountable as we set goals around those things. And so I appreciate the board's pushing us on both IBCs and in the last conversation at the workshop around advanced placement.
Yeah, if it's something that I've learned is that not all students want to, they want to go to the certificate route, which I thought was interesting. And just this morning, I was talking to a group of folks that said, I like the fact that we're pushing the certificates and not so much the dual enrollment or some of the other courses that we do. So thank you for doing that. It's given me a better perspective of what students are wanting. Thank you, Dr. Little.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, I'm going to see Joseph make his way back up to the podium. Update to policy AE local. The proposed area of action. Joseph?
Yes, sir. Thank you. So I am happy to bring forward what amounts to a second reading of update to board policy AE local, which is our educational philosophy. It communicates the educational philosophy of the district. It outlines our beliefs and our goals. It focuses on providing high-quality education, supporting student achievement, preparing students for success. The revisions that we are proposing this evening are part of our continuous improvement work, both with Lone Star governance as well as our system of great schools. We last revised the AE local in June of 2025, and this revision of AE local we discussed at our board workshop on earlier this month on the 2nd. So, of course, as I mentioned, our AE local in this work is grounded in our Lone Star governance work. It aligns with our vision of educational excellence, the right of every student. So this vision drives every decision we make and reflects our unwavering commitment to equity and excellence. So the philosophy that we are proposing is very much grounded, anchored in our vision for the districts and excellence. Our mission empowers students to become critical thinkers, visionary leaders, active contributors. It emphasizes community responsibility and the belief that every student can reach their fullest potential. We have our student outcome goals. These 4 goals are around our student achievement by 2029. They're measurable, time-bound, aligned with our long-term vision. We also have, as a part of AE Local, we have our superintendent constraints. We have 3 constraints, along with constraint progress measures. AE Local also unpacks our board constraints. We have 3 constraints. In a subsequent presentation, I will be walking us through our board constraint number 1 report. And we have our North Star goal. Our North Star goal, was presented as a part of our strategic plan presentation earlier in the evening. It says percentage of students who attend AB campuses district-wide will increase 6% by the end of the 2028-29 school year. Here is a slide that itemizes, that lists out each of the sections of AE Local. All of the sections in AE Local A through J were a part of the last approval by the board in June of 2025. And what we're asking for this evening is for consideration and approval of the theory of action. So what is a theory of action? Theory of action connects our intentions to our expected outcomes. It's a governance tool that helps us align policy, practice, and results. It includes inputs and actions. So in other words, what we are committed to doing. It includes assumptions, what we believe these actions will work, short-term outcomes and long-term outcomes. And we use an if-then structure to clarify our logic. So this helps ensure transparency and accountability in our strategic decisions. So we worked very diligently to craft language of a theory of action that was approachable to and had multiple points of entry for all audiences, for all stakeholders. And so we selected to use the if-then formula because it presented the clearest picture of what we wanted to do. And we want our community, we want our board members, we want our employees, we want our students to say that that theory of action is actually what the district is doing, and it's aligned with our strategic planning work, it's aligned with our vision and our mission. So with that, I will read our theory of action. So proposed in policy, our theory of action is managed instruction with a performance autonomy. If every school begins with a managed foundation adhering to the district's instructional core, budgeting and operational requirements were grounded in research, evidence-based practices, professional training, and legal compliance, and if the district sets annual performance expectations for each school using a whole child approach and conducts an annual school planning process to tier school performance and guide strategic needs-based decisions, and if the district provides differentiated support based on school performance, including targeted interventions for low-performing schools, such as the strategic academic interventions for campuses rated D or F for 2 consecutive years. This is in alignment with Superintendent Constraint Progress Measure 1.1. And if schools are granted flexibility and empowerment to earn autonomy for the managed foundation based on their performance, allowing for innovation and alternative models that accelerate student achievement while ensuring that approved autonomies prevail unless it's in conflict with local, state, or federal law. Then, the outcome, the district will create a responsive, performance-driven system that balances coherence and innovation and enabling schools to improve student outcomes while operating within the board's defined constraints. So this next part of the theory of action unpacks the roles. What is the responsibilities of the district to those things? And then what is the responsibility of the campus? So at the core of the roles and at the core of our if-then logic is that the campus is the primary driver of change in the district. So to meet the district's goals of student growth and achievement, the board believes that it's essential to empower the educators at all levels to act and lead under a theory of action in which the school is the key unit of change, encouraging innovation, autonomy, and differentiation at each school. The managed instruction with performance autonomy theory of action is centrally focused on student achievement by defining the role of district in empowering school communities. The role of the district. The district shall play a leading role in establishing and setting performance expectations, driving research and development, scaling innovation and best practices, coaching and support of school leaders, and ensuring that in all respects, our actions and practices promote greater equity among our students. Campus empowerment. School leaders will work collaboratively with their leadership teams, teachers, parents, and communities shall have ownership of all that happens within their buildings, a sense of efficacy and urgency, and a conviction that they are empowered to set the vision, strategies, and priorities for their school within the parameters of district constraints. So again, it's all about the campus being the primary driver and key unit of change in the district. So with that, I will take questions.
Members of the board, do we have any questions for Joseph? No questions? Okay.
So I have a quick question.
Dr. Marco?
So just to be clear, we are taking action on this for the board policy, right?
Yes.
Tonight.
Yes, sir, that is correct. It is on the agenda for consideration and approval.
Thank you, Joseph. Members of the board, no questions? Dr. Sorensen, would you like to add anything to that?
I just always think that it's important to point out, again, like the coherence between the strategic plan and the work of our theory of action, and being very clear around managed instruction and how that ties into everything that we talked about in the strategic plan, as we talked about providing high-quality curriculum and instruction, making sure that we have effective leaders at every campus, understanding that campuses are the nexus of change, and that requires really strong leaders and great teachers in every classroom across the district. And so I think it's really important to clearly define what our role is in central office to make sure that our campuses are thriving, to make sure that our campuses are doing the right work, making sure that we have coherence and consistency, clarity, and communication across the district for all of our campuses, and then empowering and expecting our leaders to do what principals are charged with doing, which is actually running their campus in a way that produces student outcomes. So being really clear around the district's role in this work, but also being very clear, going back to the strategic plan and what our priority one is. It's excellence in leadership. It takes great principals to make great schools to then improve student outcomes, because the district, again, can provide all of the foundational elements required. And if you don't have strong principals and incredible teachers in every classroom, then the district is just doing that, is providing foundational guidance, experience, materials, all of that. So I really just think that always pointing out that the coherence between the strategic plan and what we're asking here of our board to approve in policy exists.
Thank you for that, Dr. Sorensen. Seeing that we have no other questions, we'll go ahead and move on. Joseph, you still have the podium. Next item on the agenda is 8.3, Lone Star Governance Time Usage Tracker Report, July 30th through August 2nd, 2025.
Yes, sir, thank you. So pleased to bring our Lone Star Governance Time Use Tracker Report. Tonight we're going to cover two meetings. First, the July 30th meeting, and then our board workshop from August the 2nd. So looking at our report in the left column, the blue column, it shows our student outcome minutes accrued during our July 30th meeting, which is 24 minutes, and the number of minutes tied to adult behaviors, which is 58 minutes. And so our percentage of time spent on student outcome minutes is 26.67%, while our percentage of time spent on student outcomes and adult behavior minutes was 91.11%. At our board workshop session on August the 2nd, you can see on the blue left column shows student outcome minutes. We tabulated 99 minutes towards student outcomes, and then our adult behavior minutes tabulated to 42 minutes. So of the 167 total minutes we spent here on Saturday, August the 2nd, 59.28% was spent on student outcome minutes and 84.43% on student outcomes and adult behavior minutes. So with that, I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you, Joseph. Members of the board, do we have any questions for Joseph, particularly in this particular item? Okay. Joseph, you may proceed. I know you have agenda item 8.4, Lone Star Governance Monitoring Report, Board Constraint, number 1.
Yes, sir. So I'm happy to bring our inaugural Board Constraint Monitoring Report for Board Constraint number 1. Board Constraint number 1 says that board members may not allow less than 50% of the total quarterly minutes in board-authorized public meetings to be spent on improving student outcomes, according to the time use tracker. So we went back. The clock starts at the meeting directly after your last board self-evaluation, your last self-assessment. And so the clock started on this quarter, on May the 7th, and went all the way to our board workshop on August the 2nd. And as you can see here, in that time, we spent 764 total minutes in board meetings, and 47% of the time was spent directly on student outcome minutes. But with that, I'm happy to take questions.
Members, do we have any questions for Joseph, particularly on this item? Yes, Madam Secretary. Vice President.
Joseph, if we round up though, we reach 50%, right? We round up.
That is correct. It was like 47.3% of the time.
Okay, if I close one eye, squint the other, I can kind of see 50.
So.
Thank you.
Yes.
Dr. Sorensen?
So it's interesting because we have actually had this conversation, and so it's something that I talk about with our Lone Star Governance. I almost called her coach, but she's now our conservator, but I still very much need coaching when it comes to Lone Star Governance. We have conversations, so I just presented on the strategic plan, right? And in the strategic plan, there's a lot around student outcomes, because every one of those outcomes you could see, with the exception of a few that were about surveys or public input, were tied to our board goals and to student outcomes. And so we've had conversation as we think even about this meeting. Was the strategic plan conversation student outcome minutes, or was that adult behavior minutes? Because everything that we're talking about leads us to student outcomes. Everything that I was presenting was around improving performance of our students, because without all of those things that we need to do, do student outcomes improve? And so these are things that as we learn, and I think that Deanna will talk about this, as we continue to learn as a team, we will get more refined and more nuanced to make sure that we are looking at our presentations through that lens, to make sure that we are actually indeed clarifying when we are talking about student outcome minutes, Board President.
Thank you, Dr. Sorensen. Joseph, I'm curious. How do you measure? How do you time? When do you do that? Is it by the literature you're given, the handouts? How do you time this?
So the tabulations actually come from Dr. Barrera.
What's that?
The tabulations.
Yeah, Deanna, can you share that with us, Dr. Barrera?
Yes. Well, I just look at every agenda item, and I'm counting every minute from every agenda. That's why you see me writing down throughout the board meeting. And then I have to look and classify each of those minutes. So it helps when we plan for each agenda. We have a general idea. Is it progress and accountability? Is it vision and goals? And then we have to decide, is it on the student side or the adult side? Because we can be, as Dr. Sorensen said, we can be discussing goals, right? But if we're referring to adult behavior, that's one thing. And if we're talking about student behavior, then that's another. And so it's a lot. And I still get coached from my coach also. Because some of these, it's like, well, let's talk about that one. Do you think it really goes there? Maybe it's, this other. So it's a lot of that. And the idea being, we're challenging ourselves to make sure that we're challenging you to keep the focus on students. And I loved hearing the strategic plan, because everything comes back to students, and this is as it should be. The focus should be on students, not on adults and adult preferences and making adults happy. We want adults to enjoy where they work, of course, but when we genuinely focus on students and their outcomes, the adults are going to enjoy working here because they're going to be proud of the work that they're doing. So, does that answer your question?
No, it does. Thank you, Dr. Barrera.
I have a question.
Ms. Ochoa?
Dr. Barrera, is it possible that we could have a live tracker, maybe possibly something similar to chess where you clock in and clock off, just so we are aware in real time? And we can
So tracking it
improve our
in real
minutes?
time so you can see how many minutes, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, like have a dashboard.
I could barely hear,
Right.
I could barely hear her.
A live dashboard.
Oh, a live dashboard. We
Another
can talk about that, sure. Yeah.
She would be asking more questions.
No,
Which would be great.
that's, I love that because
Yeah.
you're interested in, and that's why we're doing so well. That's why you're doing so well. That's why,
Wow.
yes.
I appreciate the fact that we even use this as a tool, because it makes us accountable. So I always look forward to Joseph's presentations when, in particular, this item. So it shows where we need to focus more. And so.
And it's not easy, it's hard.
It is hard.
A lot of people say, gosh, why do you do that? That's so hard, that's hard to do. I said, but do you really want to challenge yourself and your board to be focused on students? I mean, is that what you want for your community, or is it something different? So this really talks about the values and identifies where, and everything that I'm hearing about and seeing and learning, everything is about students. And so that's something that is indeed something to celebrate.
Well, we appreciate that. So we appreciate this tool. Members of the board, any questions?
I have a question. So the student recognitions meeting is counted into this?
The which one?
Student recognitions that we
Yes.
had, and at that we didn't have like a student outcome
Well,
related towards it, right? We're going to work on
If we
it?
can connect it to one of the goals, one of the board goals, right? Then we can count it towards. And so it's having those conversations, so looking at each line item, basically. So we're not looking at, just, for example, the Lone Star governance. It's not one chunk. Each line item is something different, right? And it's just thinking about, okay, what is this really, and where is our focus? Pardon me.
So for the future student recognitions, we're going to work on aligning them towards, so that those minutes count a
Right.
little. That's what's kind of the plan, right?
And the way we do that is talk about how they're connected to the goals, right? Make that direct connection. It can't be, well, I know that they're connected, right? We want well-rounded students. A lot of them are athletic or band. But that's part of, getting an excellent education, and that being the right of every student.
Yeah.
An excellent education is not just certain areas. It's
Yeah.
that well-rounded student.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hernandez. And Dr. Brito, thank you for that. I know that you and Joseph work closely when you review our agenda along with Dr. Sorensen. I know you guys are doing that, so we appreciate that. But this is something that I look forward to at every
I'm
board
so
meeting to
glad.
see what Joseph is going to say. So when I saw this one, I was like, ugh.
I'll
But
have
anyway,
to tell the Lone Star governance team at the agency, they'll be thrilled that
Great.
this is your favorite part.
Great. Well, thank you for that.
Board President,
Go ahead,
I just wanted to add.
Yes, please.
That also on the agenda tonight for your consideration and approval is the board monitoring calendar for the 25-26 school year. And so we did work very closely with Dr. Berra, Dr. Sorensen, Executive Cabinet, in thinking about our time use tracker and strategically plotting out our monitoring of our board goals and our progress measures throughout the year.
I appreciate that, Joseph. Thank you. Dr. Sorensen, do you have anything to add?
No.
Okay, great. Again, thank you very much for the report, Joseph.
Thanks, sir.
Next item on the agenda, I'm turning it over to Dr. Barrera. Again, thank you for joining us today. We are going to be discussing the board assessment, self-assessment. Again, welcome.
Thank you. Well, team, here we are again with our next board evaluation. We've had 3 already. This will be our 4th. And I'm happy to report that I believe we're going to make progress even on this one. So I wanted to share with the entire community that our first board evaluation, we scored a 1 out of a possible 100. Then our second one, 2 quarters ago, we scored a 20. Then the third one, we scored a 41. And so we will see where we land this quarter based on your scores. But a lot of the work that was missing from here, we did on August the 2nd at that workshop. And then also today, the work we're doing today to present and to approve AE local and the monitoring calendar and all of those things. So let's start with the first one. And we have these out for the community as well so they can see what we're looking at, what you're looking at. So as I mentioned, this is the Vision and Goals 1. The first time it was a 0. The second time it was a 12. The third time we scored a 12. So now let's look at that 12 to make sure that we can stay there and then if we can move forward. So look at that, and we're currently at Meets Focus, which is where we should be. This talks about student outcome goals. They challenge the organization. They require adult behavior change. They're influenceable by the superintendent, and they're her first priority for resource allocation. So I think we're still there. The question is, can we move to masters? Does anybody have a comment on that? Why we could or could not? And I know this is the one that comes up every time. Every board really hates this one, but this is really hard to get to. It's that broad community ownership. Right, and what that means is not that we share it with the community, it's that they themselves know what these goals are, and so we'll work to that. We'll work to achieve that, but I think right now I'm thrilled that we're in the Meets Focus area. So is there any discussion on that, or are we all together that we should stay at Meets? Okay.
Board, Meets?
Yeah. Meets. Yes.
I think we're all in agreement we'll stay at Meets, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Barrera.
So Vision and Goals 2. The board has adopted goal progress measures aligned to each student outcome goal. The first one was a 0. The second time we did it was a 1. The third was a 12. So let's look at that 12 to see if we can move up to masters.
I think we're kind of on the same boat.
We're on the same boat. I really liked how Dr. Little's presentation focused on getting the baseline for GPMs. We had that discussion last year when we were setting all of these metrics. We had to really wait to see how our kids did with these new instruments. And so I feel really comfortable with the numbers that we've set and the metrics that we've set and the goals that we've set for our students over a 5-year period. So that will remain a 12. We're good with that, everyone?
Members, are we good with 12?
I have a question.
Yes, Dr. Margot.
Dana, sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing. I don't know if it's the speaker or what, but I think you said, if you can repeat, what was the problem with the broad community ownership?
Broad community ownership means that the community themselves, they own those goals. You guys own the goals. If we were to ask you about the goals for the district, you'd be able to talk about those. We want the district, the community, to be able to talk about the student outcome goals that you guys have set. And so until that time, we can't say that it's broad community ownership. It's that ownership piece that's really hard to achieve. And I think right now, where we are with this state intervention, we're in a really good spot in terms of what we have identified and what we're working on. As you also heard this evening with Dr. Sorensen's presentation of her strategic plan, getting comments and feedback from over 5,600 different people. Like, that's a lot. So the work to get this broad community ownership is already underway. But then what we're going to do in the future is get you guys involved in some of these sessions so that you can lead this discussion to talk about these, so that you can show your ownership of these goals and help them develop their ownership.
I just think that's a little arbitrary. How do you measure broad community ownership?
I love your thinking, and again, a lot of this is, that's why it's so difficult for boards to adopt and implement, because it's set very high, right? The expectations are very high. And there's not anything objective to it. There's not one way to say, okay, if you have this, then it's a yes. But I can say we're not there yet in terms of the broad community ownership. Basically, can the community talk about the goals? Do they know what the goals of the district are? And those would be the student outcome goals. We want them to be able to have a conversation about them and tell other people in the community about them. So we're just not there yet.
Dr. Marco, that was a good question, very good question, because I could see challenges in measuring that particular goal. Members of the board, do we have any other questions, particularly on this goal too? Okay, so would we be in agreement that we're still sticking at or staying at meets focus?
Yes.
Yes.
We're all in agreement. Dr. Barrero.
Okay, thank you. The next one is Vision and Goals 3. The board has adopted constraints. The last time we were also at a meets focus, which was 9 points. So we're definitely still there. We have the board self-constraints and the superintendent constraints. We also now have,
Theory of action.
what was that, Ms. Pena?
The theory of action.
Yes, we also have that too. Now look at the second one.
Community ownership, not there.
Is that community ownership? We're almost there with that one. But again, I think this is something for us to talk about and plan for. Maybe something in the spring, Dr. Sorensen, something with the community.
Sure.
So that we have the board themselves be part of the presentation, for them to be the ones that are having the conversation with the community. So we can definitely get this going for the spring. So more to come on this one.
Meets.
So board, would we be in agreement that we will stick with meets focus?
Yes.
Still there? Yes, we are.
Yes. Okay. Let's move on to the next one, Vision and Goals 4, on superintendent constraint progress measures. So we've had zeros the last 3 times. We didn't move out of them because we didn't have the superintendent progress measures.
That's right.
We had constraints,
There you go.
but we did not have superintendent constraint progress measures. So I'm just going to put it out there. Where do you think we are, team?
Meets focus.
What was that?
Meets focus.
Tell me why you think we're at meets focus.
Because we all agree on the superintendent CPMs. I do agree that they challenge the vision and the following brackets, right? So challenge the organization to uphold community values along with predictive and other respective constraints and are influenceable by the superintendent.
Yeah, definitely. We have all of those things, and again, we've talked about the timeline. Again, there's not in Lone Star governance, there's not okay, the first month you do this, the second month. It depends on so many different things. And so I'm appreciative that we've taken our time with all of this, because we needed to do a lot of other things before we got to this point. So, so I believe we are at a 4.
So members of the board, would you all agree we're at meets focus on this particular one?
Yes.
Okay, we're all in agreement. You may proceed.
Perfect. Awesome. The next one is progress and accountability. And again, with the strategic plan that Dr. Sorensen outlined, it's not just promises that we're making, there's metrics, there's measures where they're going to measure progress, right? And so we want to make sure that that's happening from you to Dr. Sorensen to her team down to the campuses, the campus principals down to the teachers, and the teachers of the students. So accountability has to go all the way from the top to the bottom, right? And so with you as a board, you're saying that you want to make sure that at least half of your time is spent improving student outcomes. And as Mr. Nangela just communicated, we are up to 47% of our time. We're almost at that 50%. But we had been at 0. We hadn't made it out of the 0. So now, where do we get to jump to?
Meets focus.
We get to jump to Meets Focus, yes. That is a huge celebration. Huge celebration. I'm very excited about that. This is really hard to achieve. But again, it takes a lot of communication and really thinking about how we can make those connections.
Dr. Barrera, before you proceed, so after hearing Joseph's presentation of the 40-plus minutes, right, is there an opportunity, I mean, we don't want this to happen, but could we go back? I mean, could we go backwards?
You could, and sometimes you might. So I don't want anyone to be stuck on, we're going backwards. Well, it depends on what's happening in the district. There might be a lot of other business that we have to take care of that is not, but I'm comfortable and confident that with Dr. Sorensen and her team's focused planning, we're making connections to students and making sure that everything that comes before you as a board has that focus on student outcomes, whether it's on the adult side or the student side. So it could happen, but I doubt it.
Thank you, Dr. Barrera. So I think we're good with Meets Focus on this one. You may proceed.
The next one is Progress and Accountability 2. The board evaluates but does not interfere with progress toward improving student outcomes. So the last 3 times, we have gotten a 0. 0, 0, 0. So why haven't we been able to move out of the 0?
I don't know if we had enough time passed for the self-evaluation.
What's that?
I wasn't sure if we had enough time for the time to pass for the self-evaluation.
No, we're good with that. I mean, we're at the 0, but we can't get to the 1. There's something in the 1 that we haven't done.
Her annual evaluation.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's coming already next, further, the second meeting this month. So the next time we do this, we're going to be able to get further on this. So we're going to take this. We're not going to worry about it. So that's why we have to stay at does not meet focus.
Big 0.
And again, there's been a lot of things that we've been focused on, right? The real work. So we're going to continue to work on that. Next time, we'll be able to get out of 0. But is everyone good with that?
Yes.
Okay. The next one is systems and processes. The board operates in a way that allows the superintendent to accomplish the vision. Now, this is a big one, and this is where a lot of boards and superintendents get confused and things get complicated, right? A lot of board members think, oh, well, I know this community, we should do this. Why is she doing that? You guys have been a great board in really allowing your superintendent through policy to do her job, to focus on her job, right? So that you can do yours. So the last time we were at a 4, which is an approaches focus. Can we go to meets focus? And let me give you some data that you don't have. I took the average of, so if you look at number 3 under meets focus, it says, well, let's look at all of them. Board authorized public meetings in the last quarter did not exceed an average of 4 meetings per month. We didn't exceed 4 meetings, we only have 2. an average of 3 hours per meeting, and they are below 3 hours now. That's a huge,
That seems like a large task.
Very large.
That seems like a large task. I mean, I don't even
Especially
know if
with the
that's, I
amount
don't
of
even know
work.
if that's, yeah, possible.
Yeah, no, we did it. I took the average, I look at, trust me, I know by the end of every board meeting, I can tell you how many minutes we spend at the board meeting. So the average is currently less than 3, so we're good.
Well, don't kill her, Superintendent. God almighty.
We're good, and you guys have worked hard also to reduce the time in executive session. There's always a lot to talk about, and you guys are great about that, but we need to make sure that we're focused and strategic with what we bring in front of you and the community. So the average of 5 other topics per meeting. So what this is referring to is in your board agenda, you have consent agenda items, right? Then you have other items after we come back from closed session when we reconvene.
Yes.
Those are action and discussion items. To be able to achieve meets focus, we should have an average of 5 other topics per meeting. Our current average is 8, and we've done a great job of whittling those down as well. I talked with Dr. Sorensen and Joseph about these. Can this go to consent? Can this go to consent? A lot of them, if it's based on policy that La Jolla has, if it's over a certain amount, that has to be there. The board has to approve it in that area. But we will work to get it down to 5 if we can, when we can. But right now, I think we're doing well at approaches. But that's the reason that we cannot go into meets, because our average is 8 other topics per meeting. So.
Members of the board,
Agree.
are we okay with meets focus?
Approaches.
I mean, approaches?
Yes.
Focus?
Yes.
We all in agreement? Okay.
Perfect.
Approaches.
Next one is advocacy and engagement. The first 2 we scored a 0. Then the last time we scored a 1. So we're at approaches right now. Actually, we should have been at prepared. The last time we gave it a 1, it should have been a 0 because we have not, or Dr. Sorensen, have we hosted a community meeting to discuss progress towards student outcome goals within each feeder pattern with low-performing campuses during the previous 12-month period? Have we?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes,
we
ma'am.
have?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Then we stay at the 1. I stand corrected. Can we go to meets focus?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Members of the board, are we okay with approaches focus?
Yes.
Okay, Diana, on that one, Dr. Barrera, it's approach focus.
okay, that'll stay at 1. And then the last one is synergy and teamwork. And this is the board works collaboratively and with the superintendent to lead toward the vision. So the last time we were at a 3. We started at a 1, then we went to a 3, then we went to a 3. We stayed at a 3. Look at the meets focus. Can we mark off everything under that? So we definitely have the attendance. You guys have great attendance. You all have adhered to all policies, governing board operating procedures.
Dr. Barrera, the last one, rather than the superintendent led the completion of Lone Star governance?
Well, the one after that is on meeting the completed required trainings. I don't think that you guys individually have each met your required board trainings. So if we make that a priority in the next 3 months, Then we can go on to meets focus. And we also have to make sure that one of the board members, rather than the superintendent, leads a completion of Lone Star governance tasks. So what we could do with this one is we could have one of the members of the board start taking minutes. That's a task. That's eventually going to go to you. So those are two things that we can work on as a goal for this next one. And so I would say the secretary would probably fall on you to keep the minutes of each agenda. So I can work with you on that, and then we can start putting those minutes in identifying where they fall. Because the questions you were asking today about the time use tracker were perfect. This is when you're able to do Lone Star governance very well, it's for you to understand it at that level and for you to actually do it yourselves, not having me do it. And a lot of the things that are done, many other districts, the coach does it, but over here, Mr. Ningela does practically everything with Lone Star governance. I work with him, but he really has taken this task and has done a great job. So we're still on a 3. Is that okay with everybody?
I think we would agree all approaches.
Okay. So I don't have a calculator. I don't know what our final is, but I will calculate that, and I'll have this for you to sign. And then when it gets to that portion, if we can just make that one mention, or before you approve everything, I'll just announce it so everybody can have that score. Unless we have a mathematician back there.
I think we're at
59.
51.
Which one?
We have a couple of mathematicians.
Which one?
I think it's 59, no?
59?
59.
59, okay, we'll double check. But if we're at a 59, that's great. From a 1 to a 20 to a 41 to a 59. That's awesome, guys.
Yes.
Congratulations. That is so awesome. And this is something to be really proud of. You guys have really taken this to heart, and it starts at the top with the board president and also with the superintendent. I mentioned it before to you. I went to the principal 2-day meeting this summer, and I went to the leadership 2-day meeting this summer. I could hear LSG language at the principal level, which was amazing. I definitely hear it at the division level with academics. I was at their meeting yesterday, and they are very focused on student outcomes, and a lot of the things that they talk about, I can hear it in the language, so it makes me very proud as a coach. But I think that it definitely starts with the two leaders at the top, Dr. Sorensen and Mr. Alvarez. So thank you both for really embracing this and taking it to heart. Any other questions?
Thank you, Dr. Barrera. Anybody have any questions for Dr. Barrera?
I have a question.
Dr.
So going
Hernandez?
back to the broad community ownership, it's not objective. How are we going to quantify it? You said maybe until the spring. Maybe
Yes,
we're going to
so
hold
we
some.
can, yes, if
Okay.
we hold a meeting and you guys are actually presenting the goals and talking about the GPMs and so that it's you and it's not Dr. Lul and his team. That's what we want to eventually see, to where you're the ones that are really, presenting that, and the community's able to discuss with you and to continue that, spreading the message of the goals of the district in other spaces and places in the community.
Thank you.
President, can I
Any other
ask a
questions? Yes, Mr. Soso.
A quick question. So does it count, because I know, and I want to say thank you to the leadership, where even on open house, the principals did go over goals with all the parents that were involved there. So is that something that will count towards that?
No, because it has to be you guys. It has to be
Okay.
you sending out, leading these meetings, and having the community also be able to talk about the district goals.
So on that, it's just exposure of the goals.
And
where they get
it
to
definitely
see and
starts
learn.
there, absolutely, yes.
Thank you.
Anytime we can do that, we want to continue to do that so that when people hear it, they're like, what's this new goal thing? What's this strategic plan? Everyone should be very familiar with that by 2029 or 2030? When does it end, Dr. Sorensen?
Well, the reason that we have both is we have 2029 listed in some spaces and 2030 is because the exit criteria
Yes.
called for 2029.
Right.
But we
But
wanted
you
a 5-year plan,
Yes.
and so it's 2030.
Yes.
Any other questions for Dr. Barrera?
Board President, if I could add
Yes,
just one
Dr.
quick thing. So, Board Member Gomez, I would say that, so as you looked at like the strategic plan and the rollout, you saw like opportunities for coffee with superintendent. And so it's about us sitting down and saying, so in these engagements, you're going to come with, we're going to do it together.
Yes.
And you're going to lead the conversation in the rollout of the strategic plan. It's about us creating those opportunities for board members to
Yes.
be a part of the rollout, and then you're actually leading and facilitating a part of that, so that we're doing it in partnership and you own a piece of it. And so I'm
Absolutely.
excited, actually, as we roll it out this year, for those opportunities to be created in partnership with you guys.
It starts there, and then eventually I would love for you guys to go to the Lions Club, to all of the chamber, all the different organizations in the community to talk about the work that you're doing and the work that the district is doing. So those are things that we can definitely look forward to and plan.
Thank you, Dr. Barrera. Any other questions? Seeing that there's none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great report. Ladies and gentlemen, next item on the agenda is our consent agenda item. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, I have a motion by Vice President Chavez. Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
We have a second by Mr. Gomez. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is we will be going into closed session. It is 8:16 p.m. Under this section, Texas Government Code Section 551.001, 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, 551.076, 551.129, and 551.082 concerning any and all purposes permitted by the Act, including but not limited to the sections and purposes that were listed on our consent. Any questions? Seeing that we have none, we are now going to closed session. All right, we are back from closed session. It is 9:59 p.m. Next item on the agenda is 12.1, approval of ratification agreement, the University of Texas Health Science Center and Houston, lead agent and La Jolla Independent School District for 2025-2026 School Ready project. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve item 12.1.
We have a motion by Dr. Hernandez. Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
We have a second by Ms. Peña. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is 12.2, approval of ratification of Carnegie Professional Learning and Coaching Support. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve item 12.2.
I have a motion by Dr. Margot. Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
I have a second by Vice President Chavez. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is 12.3, approval of self-funded employee insurance benefits plan CSP number 2025-71. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve item 12.3.
I have a motion by Secretary Peña. Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
I have a second by Board Member Gomez. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next item is 12.4, approval of employee voluntary insurance benefit plan CSP number 2025-72. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve item 12.4.
I have a motion by Vice President Chavez. Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
I have a second by Member Ochoa. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next item is 12.5, approval of Facilities Master Plan Services, CSP number 2025-76. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve 12.5.
I have a motion by Dr. Hernandez. Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
I have a second by Member Ochoa. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is 12.6, approval of produce products SOQ number 2025-77. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve 12.6.
I have a motion by Board Member Gomez. Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
I have a second by Secretary Peña. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next item is 12.7, approval of policy update AE local theory of action. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve item 12.7.
I have a motion by Member Ochoa. Do I have a second?
I second.
I have a second by Dr. Carlos Margo. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next item is 12.8, approval of changes to policy EFB local SB 13. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve item 12.8.
I have a motion by Vice President Chavez. Do I have a second?
I second.
I have a second by Dr. Hernandez. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next item is 12.9, consider and take possible action to propose the termination of Chapter 21 term contract employee and authorize the superintendent to send notice of proposed termination to employees. Do I have a motion?
President, I would like to abstain on this one.
Be noted that Board Member Celso Gomez is abstaining from the vote. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve item 12.9.
Motion by Secretary Peña. Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Okay, next item on the agenda, ladies and gentlemen, is our calendar. August 27th, 2025, regular board meeting. September 1st, 2025 is a holiday. Before we adjourn, are there any remarks from the board that they would like to make or from our superintendent?
Thank you, Board President. I would just like to take a moment and congratulate our entire district. I know that that's a big congratulations, but we have had a really successful opening of schools. I don't know how many of you were able to come out for our open houses last week, but record numbers of parents and families out at our open houses. I mean, the amount of participation was just overwhelming at each open house that we went to. It was incredible. And welcoming our teachers back to their campuses and setting up their classrooms and getting ready for instruction, professional learning that took place last week. And then at the end of the last week, having our incredible Carnival of a Century, I'm really, just putting that exclamation mark on how last week felt as a community and together, really unified, celebrating 100 years of excellence, but also just celebrating each other. It was just a really great feeling. And then starting this week, just seeing the kids being dropped off and the faces of our little ones on campus. I stopped by both of our ACE campuses and saw pre-K3 and pre-K4 kids there. Some tears from our parents dropping off their littles. But really, the entire team in the room has been out in campuses every single day this week, visiting 3, 4, 5 campuses, and just really seeing the energy out there and the love for what we do. Everything from our custodial workers to our cafeteria workers to bus drivers, to our educators, principals, families, everybody. It just has been a really exciting opening to the school year. So just want to thank everybody and congratulate everybody for great work. Thank them in advance for all that they've done, but all that they're going to do this year. So thank you, Board President, for the moment to just pause and reflect and also provide gratitude.
Thank you, Dr. Sorensen. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to add before we adjourn? Okay, I, like Dr. Sorensen, am excited for another school year. And like I said, every day I look at our YouTube channel or the channels to look to see what Blanca has put out. So it's always exciting to see what you guys are doing. So congratulations to all of you. And to our new members that are here, I hope you're adjusting to the South Texas climate, weather, and the people. So we're very fortunate, again, as I referenced the last time, to have all of you here. So with that said, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn this meeting at 10:05 p.m.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Good night, everyone, and we look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks.
Gavel.